are Running with the Devils, and we're back talking everything Arizona State football. I'm the Rhino, Ryan Knowles. Here with me, as always, Big John Caldwell.
Yo,
And
yo.
Big John, they always hate to see the season end with a loss. Oh, but man, what a way to go out as the Arizona State Sun Devils drop a heartbreaker in double overtime to the Texas Longhorns in the Peach Bowl in the college football playoff to end the regular season. 11-3, Big 12 champs. A lot to be proud of after this season. None of the so-called experts really had us doing anything. I mean, you and I both had them around 500. So they defied everybody. Going all the way to the college football playoff, winning the conference, and coming basically one play away from moving on to the semifinals. And it's a tough one to swallow.
It is, especially when we beat him in almost every category. And we'll go through some with this tonight, guys. But it was a roller coaster. Probably the wildest roller coaster I can recall in a college football game. Certainly biggest, wildest one for ASU. In that fourth quarter, we just stood up and said, we're not going to take this anymore. We knew we were beating them the whole game, and we'll talk about the two trips to the end zone or goal line where we couldn't score. But what a thrill for the program. Really our brand. There was almost 24 million people who watched this game. That's more eyeballs than probably 4 seasons have looked at us, right?
Oh yeah.
In total. And so
a lot of good publicity, lot to like from this game, even though you never want to use the term moral victory, and I wouldn't even characterize this as that, but there's certainly a lot of benefits coming out of this game and this season that as an ASU fan you can certainly hang your hat on and say, hey, we were right there. Maybe a couple more pieces where we can do this again next year,
right.
Put ourselves in the championship conversation once again. But heck of very interesting New Year's. I know, John, you were there at the game in Atlanta. Weren't 100%, but definitely a great atmosphere. And I think a lot more ASU fans made the trip than probably most people thought.
Yeah, I will tell you, everybody who I respect their opinion, who are in the ticket business for ASU, said even though we sold our 13,000, we had far more than 13,000. We had at least half of that stadium was ASU fans. I mean, as far as you can look
Nice.
up, Matt, they were all the way to the ceiling. And you couldn't say the same thing for the Texas side. We looked every bit as legit, like we belonged, as anybody in the college football. I think we arguably put up the best match, the best.
Yeah. Oh, the quarterfinal games, far and away, and maybe even out of the opening round too, because games were.
Oh yeah.
Most of those games were pretty much lappers as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't, and we all hung around the bar, after the game, trying to, woulda, coulda, shoulda, breaking everything down, crying.
Make sense of everything, right?
And a couple of old timers who had played for ASU, old timers, 96, 97 Rose Bowl guys, were saying, look, I don't think we'll ever be confused with U of A again after this. That was such a big branding exercise that took place, a positive
Very nice.
one. And so I think there's something to that.
Can't hate that. I certainly hope not.
Well, maybe ESPN will be the last ones, but I'm counting on Matt Berry to set some people straight around there. But we ran into Matt, and he was very great.
Gonna have an alum on the inside, yes.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly get into this game a little bit more. We also have our postseason recap and season awards.
Yep.
And to get into, but yeah, it was a Cinderella season for the Devils. They finished up 11-3, and a big reason why was running back Cam Scadaboo, who had a fantastic game. Capping off an amazing 2-year run with the Sun Devils. The guy just seemed to make play after play after play, and the team fed off of it. And seemed like he was carrying them on their back most of the time on their way to rallying in this game. They took the lead in overtime. Had that 4th and 13. If they just gotten one more stop, they would have come away with the win.
Yeah.
But Texas being Texas, they're here for a reason too. They have some tremendous players, and they flashed there at the end when they needed to.
I like your term historic final game because one of the cool things about getting to go uh, witness a game in person is you get to talk to a lot of people. I actually got to talk to some coaches in the coaches lounge before the game. And I'm not going to tell you who, but one of the coaches told me that they sat Cam down and they said, look, kid, you're a 7th-round draft pick right now. If you want to be maybe a second or a 3rd-round draft pick and make an extra $5 million, we're going to showcase you. You need to go out and play like your hair's on fire.
There you
And
go.
and that's a Jedi mind trick because I think he was probably going to get higher than 7th, but they were pushing his buttons all the way up to the night before,
There
telling
you
him
go.
what he had to do to make some bank. And I'll tell you, he is motivated.
Motivation, man, it's a big part of coaching.
He is motivated, and he is absolutely wants to get paid, and he's going to get paid. I mean, we can talk about his prospects if you want before this is over tonight. But yeah, America got to see the football community really got to see that something's going on with ASU with Kenny Dillingham, and to bring it and that we've got players like Cameron Scadaboo and Sam Levitt. I mean, there was a whole cadre of people who really I thought played very well. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that they were still pushing his buttons right up to the end. So
Yeah, there you go.
yep,
That was really, yeah, it was really great to see. ASU kind of started off in that 14-point hole. They were down 2 touchdowns at halftime,
boom boom.
and then to come back, in the second half, as they have all season. Because I mean, there have been games where they've gotten down early and they haven't really, they actually have been a team. Most of their games actually started fast,
Yes.
but there have also been times where, yeah, they've had to battle back late and really kind of stay even keel for the whole game, which is kind of what they did here. They I think they turned up the intensity certainly in the second half and definitely
Oh yeah.
came out with a little bit more urgency.
Well, I thought Shamari Simmons, once he got back in the game after his
Yes.
first half suspension, that you could see the attitude in the defense change. And of course, Shamari was instrumental in the safety. And I will tell you that moment, the safe, I love it when defense triggers the offense, right? And
Yes.
that's exactly what happened. Get huge credit to Shamari for coming in and bringing instant energy. He's a hitter, and he's going out for the draft. I just wish him nothing but the best because he reminds me of an NFL player in that he can hit at the level of an NFL player.
Oh yeah, and he's got great instincts.
Yep.
Likes playing in a crowd, likes playing around the line of scrimmage. He's aggressive. He'll get after it. He'll mix it up with guys. He's not afraid of anybody. And a smart football player too, very instinctual. He will,
Yeah.
he'll definitely bring some value wherever he goes, and people will be able to see him because he'll be in the Shrine Bowl before the draft as well, and Cam Scadaboo will be in the Senior Bowl as well. So we will see these players again. ASU led 38-31 in overtime.
Yep.
They scored first. They had the ball first, and then Texas scores on that ASU came had a couple of stops on that first drive, and then they try to basically cover zero blitz where they brought some guys up the A gap and dropped the edge guys, and they just beat them over the top. Couldn't quite get home. Hats off to Texas because they picked up that blitz very, very well. They kept the tight end in. They kept the back in. They did everything right to execute on that play. So hats off to them. They did everything. They did everything right on that play, and they won.
And
that's all you can do.
The start of the game, Texas was very astute. They went right after Shamari's replacement, Montana
Warren, right?
And they picked on him right away, and they picked on him the second. I'm saying, oh my gosh, they're doing it again, right? So that's what you do when you're a good team. You study film like that. They just picked up on all those parts of the game where you can take advantage
Very
of.
True. Yeah, and ASU, a lot of people are criticizing ASU for trying to go after that. We're trying to blitz there, but I personally, on 4th and 13 with the game on the line, you want the quarterback forced into some bad decisions.
Yeah.
Quick decision. Hopefully he throws the ball short of the sticks. You get somebody home who's going to, force the ball out quick. that's the that's the plan anyway. That's how the play's drawn up to create that, but obviously they weren't able to get it done.
And Kenny tried to get him out of that coverage, and by the time everybody on the headset jabbering, I'm sure it was just too late for
Right.
him to relay into Keyshawn because he has the speaker on, but and Kenny took full responsibility for that play. He couldn't get him out of it, and I will guarantee you this: this is something we've learned about Kenny Dillingham and this team. They don't repeat these mistakes. They go and study this and drill and drill and drill, and they won't make that mistake again. Somebody's job is going to be when they see the personnel that they left in, down in distance. They're not going to make that mistake again. So that's why one of the reasons why they got 11 wins was because they didn't repeat mistakes. They made mistakes, and there were some dumbass penalties in this game. And folks, I know everybody wants to talk. We'll get into the targeting, but there was a lot of other stuff. On that touchdown pass to Montana was covered. There was a hold. Oh, I'm sorry. On the kickoff return, there was a
The punt return. Yes.
bad hold on that play.
I think it was actually a block in the back. There was a few plays you could point to and say, hey, where's the flag? I get the referees and trying to let them play a little bit, let the players determine the outcome, not try to make not try to be so involved. But at some point, in plays that affect the game the way they did that resulted in scores, you've also got to be, you also got to lay down the law a little bit because Ewers rushing touchdown.
Right.
One of the ASU's linemen got held pretty bad when he was trying to pursue.
Yep.
He was kind of far away. Probably doesn't make the play even if he's not held, but it was still there.
Right.
And then of course there's the targeting no call against Michael Taff on Melquan Stovall that has just everybody up in arms.
Well,
and probably won ASU a few fans, but certainly kind of might have cost them the game.
Yeah, and you even have the commissioner on record now that he wants to see things reviewed, and more importantly, he wants to see things fixed going forward as far as consistency of call. Because it reminded me of a year.
There's some clarification in the rule and how it's called, where it's called, things like that.
Well, you had Big 10 reps, you had Big 12, and maybe there's some discrepancy. I think the most logical thing I've heard was that they're saying it wasn't the crown of the head, but it fit the other two criteria.
Still helmet to helmet, though. It doesn't have to be crown of the helmet.
And defenseless.
Yeah, exactly. He was defenseless. People are arguing, saying it's face mask to face mask. Last time I checked, face mask is part of the helmet.
No, it wasn't the top 6 inches. It was a little bit lower, but I know why they did it. And we see, if you watch soccer, late in the match, refs don't like to bring out whistles. And I know they want to see him play the beautiful game and all that, but geez, come on, man! Had that play happened in the first half or first quarter, it would have been a no question. They would have thrown the flag.
But just the fact that they reviewed it and still determined that it wasn't targeting, that doesn't sit very well with me because they had a chance called the first time, no flag. Stovall's laying there at midfield.
He's
flopping out of it, probably concussed.
Yeah.
And they go back and look at it again, and still say it's not targeting.
Yeah.
And
too much time.
I wonder how that comes about. Who was on the other end of that line and telling them not to call that? That's the conspiracy theorist.
I don't.
Obviously, I'm sure it's not as bad as that, but
I hate going there. As a football aficionado, I hate going there. I don't like it. To me, it's just here. It's like flat Earth Society and chemtrails. I don't want to go down that path. Come on.
And I go back to what Jimmy Johnson said when his Miami teams would go up to Notre Dame, and there was the phantom fumble, Cleveland Gary in '88.
Right.
It cost them a national championship. He said, when you go up to South Bend, don't leave it in the referee's hands.
That's right.
And even though this was a Big Ten officiating crew, when you go into SEC country, don't leave it in the referee's hands. Because
I agree.
Yeah,
Agreed.
And that was something I feel like ASU. They didn't necessarily. They put themselves in that position when they got down early, and they needed to battle back. And the game was tied. They had a chance to win it, coming down. But if you execute there's a million plays before that if you execute
Yeah.
better, if you if you just do your job a little bit better.
Yeah.
It doesn't get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hey, are we talking about this as much if ASU wins in the first overtime?
No, I'm here.
So
It's interesting though. It's come in from all corners of the football world. From former players, every talking head, but really coaches, and who I respect the most, coaches um, the commissioner has the right attitude. Let's fix this. Let's go fix this now. But you got some explaining to do.
and it's a little late now.
It is. We're not going to get an apology. I don't think.
Oh no, and
But
there's a lot that came out of this game. I mean, you got people saying that Michael Bond fumbled, didn't catch the ball clean
yeah,
when he got it. I mean, it for the most part, that's something you're not going to win.
well, no, that's clearly you have to have irrefutable video evidence, and only people blowing it up to 100 times could actually see that. No
Yeah, and
reference.
then there's the blocked field goal in the first half.
Yes.
That bounced on the turf and then went through the uprights, and I didn't know that rule. I don't even know if that rule is correct. I think somebody online just made that up.
Yeah,
frankly, I don't think that's an actual thing.
Section 8, Rule 3. That was all that was all garbage. That was all just made up.
I thought so.
But looking purely at the it is still a live ball. Okay, if somebody blocks it, it's still going.
Yeah, the return team can pick it up if it stays in field of play. The return team can pick it up and take it back.
The only time they can't pick it up is after it's gone through the goalpost. Okay, so yeah,
or out of bounds, obviously out of play. Yeah, right, but if it stays in the field of play, they can pick it up. So I mean, technically, that is a live ball. I don't know the actual rule on that. A lot of people were throwing that around this week. Again, that's not something you want to hang your hat on or try to. A lot of people were saying they're going to file a lawsuit and all this stuff. I don't know how. I don't think that was all that real, frankly. Yeah. So you got beat by a better team. It's a hard pill to swallow, but swallow it, grow from it, move on. Plain and simple. Let's all be adults about this. In a sport where everything is replayed and dissected down to the millisecond. At the end of the day, there's a winner and a loser. Let's just own it.
The way I look at it, Ryan,
we lost, they won. Don't like it any more than you guys watching, but that was the outcome.
Yeah, and win the games that are right in front of you. I do believe, and we saw some of their fans leaving before the game was over, and I'm thinking, you people are already counting on going back to Dallas, aren't you? Playing in Arlington again. But the one thing I do know is we're not going back. We're not going backwards. We got too many weapons. We'll get into next season's team a little bit, and and it's too early for predictions or anything. But my goodness, this is sustainable, and it's not just sustainable. It's
there's 17, 18 starters coming back, and almost everybody off the two deep is coming back. We did not have very many seniors leaving.
No.
So this is absolutely sustainable. This is certainly a big building block they can move forward on and improve their team to the point where they have the horses to hang with a team like a Texas, the other blue bloods of college football.
Yeah.
We got the guys in the right positions at the top. The money will come. It will take care of itself. We continue to win. But the fact that we have a coach here who wants to be here, he's not using this as a stepping stone to his next job. We have an athletic director who wants, again, another alum who wants to, it's the same thing, wants to do the same thing, wants to be here, feels like this is a program that you can build on and build into one of the powers of college sports. Just needs a little TLC, a little time, a little money, and that's basically what they've given, what they've committed to the school.
The AD Rossini and Dr. Michael Crow are on the same page. Crow's committed to put more money in the budget, and one of the things I don't know the specifics yet of how much. I'll find that out, but I can tell you that during the summer when I spoke to Crow. He said, "Did you know that 65% of the athletic scholarships we're giving to football could have been in the academic side of the ledger?" And they fixed
There
that.
you go.
So the budget just went up for football without having to by putting those schollies over on the
Yeah. Guys
academic.
earned academic
There's all
scholarship.
there's all
Right.
kinds of stuff like this going on, but folks, don't buy into that the flat Earth Society with that Crow doesn't like sports. Crow loved. Crow, we got 24 million people saw this game. That's more. That's huge, folks, for brand
Oh,
building. I mean,
you don't think he likes he may not like sports, but you don't think he likes eyeballs on his school?
he understands numbers. So yeah, man, I'm incredibly. The only thing I can tell you, while there's a lot of really heartbroken people, there wasn't a single person at the Marriott Marquis after the game who didn't think that this was a flash in the pan. That everybody feels like this. We're coming back, and I don't know if we're going to be coming back to Peach Bowl. If we do our job right next year, we're playing. We're at the 3 seed, not the 4 seed. We're playing at the Fiesta Bowl, folks. You
There
want to
it
talk
is.
about now? You want to talk about home field advantage? I don't care what anybody's.
That's assuming that the college football playoff format stays the same.
At least they
That'll
might
be
not.
interesting to me
Yeah.
because I don't know if anybody wants a bye anymore because the bye the
The
teams
length.
that had buys went 0-4.
Yes. Yeah, I think they may try to clean it up by a week, but the one thing I'll tell you is the this whole notion of teams. Boise State did not belong in the Fiesta Bowl. Sorry, friends. I'm sorry. If anybody, we did, but I understand because of the rankings, right? But
Right.
if they do consider strength of schedule during the season, which they did, then we have a real good opportunity to be playing in Glendale. But I just think we're next year is going to be a little tougher. We're playing people like TCU and BU, Baylor.
Well, no, we don't have BYU next year.
No, I didn't say
So,
that. I said Baylor. Playing Baylor
oh,
next year.
BU. Okay, yeah.
BU.
You
Yeah.
say, yeah, but we got to go to Baylor, to Colorado, Iowa State, and Utah,
Yep.
and then
We're going to Mississippi State, folks, an
yep,
SEC team, second game of the year,
yep, very
and
true.
come because Tim Hovick and the VABC are holding a huge tailgate there. We're going to show them we know how to party.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely worth going.
that's the road
So,
trip.
but yeah, just going putting a bow on this here. I mean, hats off to the ASU defense because
Yeah,
even though they had that rough stretch in the first quarter, with giving up a touchdown on the first two offensive plays, they still balled out. I think for the most part, they had 9 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, an interception, and they only gave up 53 rushing yards, which was more than half of Texas's total for the
yeah.
season. They were averaging about 150 yards,
Who
over
does that?
30% then.
Who has done that? Texas. I don't remember
Not too many.
Texas ever coming away with 53
Georgia,
yards.
maybe. Yeah, those were really the only ones. And yeah, we did a great job shutting them down, trying to make them one-dimensional and beating us through the air. And yeah, we outgained them. Own time of possession. Just about. There's a lot of key statistics that
Yep.
would make you think ASU could have come away with this win if a couple breaks had maybe gone their way. So for our players of the game, our final players of the game for the 2024 season, presented by the Valley Athletic Booster Club. Support local athletics. Check out valleyathleticboosterclub.com. And for me, who else? You got to give it to Cam Scatteraboo. Had a tremendous game. 30 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions for 99 yards. The team's leading receiver as well. Got a 42-yard touchdown pass to Malik McLean that he audibled out of
He
because it was supposed to be like a throwback, like a Philly special throwback to
Sam.
to Levitt, but he got his ankle rolled up the play before and couldn't run very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he checked out to Malik McLean, put it on him. McLean makes I'm looking forward to seeing what Malik McLean does going forward because he makes a great adjustment on the ball, cuts to the inside, where Cam threw it and takes it in for a touchdown. So great, just a great play all around there.
Great play.
We did have that 2-point conversion as well. And then on defense, Javon Robinson.
Yep.
with another solid game. This kid just continues to improve and get better and better. It feels like had a great interception on a play which was not targeting on Keith Abney. By
Nope.
the way, I want to get that on the record too. Abney kind of hit the receiver in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
The receiver's head kind of bounced back, but it was not targeting.
Right, right. Robinson's
but yeah, so
Robinson's
those are my
pick was
players of the game.
very, very athletic play by Robinson to go high point that ball, come running across the
Oh
field,
yeah,
high point that thing. And you got the sense that it was coming, right? At some point, it was coming. That we knew that you were through some bad balls, and this I wouldn't call this necessarily a bad ball, but he just went over and made a play, you know, high
he's
pointed
done
that
it
thing.
all season. I know.
Yes, yes, thrilling.
And then one more thing about Cam Scatterboot, the fact that he was named
Yeah,
offensive player of the game, which had never happened in the 26 years that they've been given the award um, in
yep,
the Peach Bowl. Tremendous as well.
yeah. Very well deserved. That got the whole country's attention right there. I had people who never watched ASU football all year and they said, "Is this the guy that was up for the Heisman?" I said, "Yeah." And in retrospect, I said, "In retrospect, we probably should have had a more real Heisman campaign." And those things cost money. But guess what, folks? We've been through this. I think Rossini again. We won't make the same mistake twice. If Sam is going to have this kind of, and Sam's name is being bannered about, as maybe somebody in Heisman talk as a sophomore. So anyway, I think if that's going to play out, ASU will marshal put together a real spend the money to do a real Heisman campaign. Um, but yeah, I mean, Cam, we have about the throw up controversy. Maybe he ate something bad for
You can
breakfast.
rally.
Puke and rally, baby. I already got mine. And if anybody, you folks are fans of for ASU swag, and you're local here in Arizona, I talked to Troy Scoma, the owner of Cactus Sports, last night, and I showed him my puke and rally shirt. He goes, I said, you got to do a real one now, pal. He goes, yeah, I'm on it. I said, how soon? He goes, 7 to 10 days. So in about the same time next week, or maybe a little bit longer, we'll have Cactus Sports online or Cactus Sports on Mill Avenue. We'll have
Oh, brother.
and that's a great tailgate shirt. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And he's gonna sell them by the boatloads to the frats.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh
We're not gonna live down a
yeah,
reputation.
wouldn't surprise me.
All right, so here's mine. If I would not be a Sun Devil if I didn't say Cam was obviously the MVP. Yeah, nice jersey, bud. But on the defensive side, I agree with you. But I had to throw in Elliott here just because he was so consistent all year when he was in the games.
Well, yeah,
But
he's a big reason why the run defense was as good as it was.
it sure was. Yeah, he still lacks a couple little, the hip turning capability like a DB does. But he sure laterally side to side covering that field. He is a monster. 5
Yeah, but
solos, 3
they
assists.
don't really expect him to drop into coverage a ton.
No,
When
I
he's
know.
in there, it's mainly as to
Yeah,
try to get in the backfield and create chaos
yeah.
around the line of
Or
scrimmage.
contain what's going around the edge. That's really his strongest suit, I think. So those are mine. Scat spelled wrong, and Keyshawn. Um, so what do we got?
Yep. So those are our players of the game presented by Valley Athletic Booster Club. And now, yeah, where do we rank the 2024 season among all-time ASU seasons? I would certainly say top 5,
Oh yeah,
if not top 2 or 3. I mean, 96 season for me, still way up there just because, so historic as they were undefeated, going into that Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl season '86 certainly deserves mentioning. Some of those undefeated teams in the '70s and so forth, where they were not in the Pac-12 yet, Pac-10, Pac-12 yet, but still,
yeah. This
went undefeated, went to the Fiesta Bowl, were finished top 5 in the nation, despite being like in the WAC or the border conference. I think probably going a little back a little bit further than I should, but
WAC. They were in the WAC back
well,
then.
those are like way before my time.
Well, I'll tell you, the 75 is not before my time. That was my graduating year in high school, and we finished 12-0, including the
Yes.
17-14 win of Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. That to me,
Danny Cush with the field goal.
and
Yes,
that's
that,
I
that I do
became.
know.
I was very aware of who ASU was in terms of getting on the map, with the 75 team. And so I got to see a few of them, a few of the games, but I certainly saw the Fiesta Bowl game. It really impressed me. And they didn't get back then. The AP and the coaches polls, we were considered, back and forth, almost one every year, but we didn't get. We kind of got robbed, I think, as far because they were giving out
Just
co-champions.
because we played in a smaller conference.
Yeah,
pretty much. We weren't
but the way
one
we
of the big
dominated.
teams back east. We were in the Pacific
Yeah,
Conference.
but beating Nebraska in a bowl game back there nobody took those bowls off. No, everybody was playing their guts
yeah.
out. Right? It was for all.
Well, they were serious. Yeah, they
and then
were.
and the 1970 team, which was also undefeated, was a great season too. This in terms of anybody born in the 80s or earlier or sooner has been it's absolutely I agree, it's top five has to be.
Definitely.
And,
Yeah, especially
and
considering that this is probably the best season, since 2013 when they won the Pac-12
yeah.
South.
Well, you have Scadaboo who eclipsed in this game alone eclipsed three other players. He eclipsed Whizzer White. He is not, I think, number 2 now all time in single season multi-purpose yards. So yeah, he passed a whole bunch of guys in this game. So yeah, it's big game. But man, I don't think there was a person around who didn't feel like, one, we belong, and two, we'll be back somehow.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. And then one other question I wanted to pose to you: does Cam Scadaboo belong on the ASU Mount Rushmore?
Well, I said it earlier in this season. He was one of my top 5. Absolutely. I mean, and it wasn't just, you can go by numbers. There's a lot of guys, numbers wise, this was the heart and soul of the team. This guy inspired his teammates. This guy went on the sidelines in the Peach Bowl and started dressing people down, right?
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, he was throwing his helmet. He was raising hell.
Yes, and so he'll never buy a beer in this town again, as far as I'm concerned or involved. But
he doesn't drink.
I know. Well, but it's a great story, and folks, this did not just happen. Kenny did not have it. These two guys, as I said, these guys zing, they yin and yanged all year, and they built each other up. And it's a beautiful story. You don't see players like this. I'm just going to tell you though, the kid we got,
and Kenny challenged him at the beginning of the year. He said, "You want to play in the NFL? This is what you have to do. This is you got to follow a certain diet. You got to commit yourself to the weight room, change your body up,
some speed,
so that you can be versatile. Become a better receiver, become a force on special teams. Just do all these things that." He really wasn't comfortable with and hadn't done before, but man, they paid off in a big way once he got out on the field and started toting the rock.
Yeah, mad props to this whole team. Really, I love the way the O line came together, and the fact that we finally had a healthy, almost 2 deep on the O line. Imagine last year with this line. We again, there was 3 games last year. We were play away.
Probably go to a bowl game.
You probably But last year we couldn't go because we were self-imposed. But the beautiful thing about this team is that this is not a fluke, folks. This is not a and I don't think any of the other undefeated teams were flukes either. But they were very senior, and by the time these guys won in 70 and 75. It let down after that, and there was big, and so I don't know that we're in the same situation. I think our rosters are a little more diverse. Portal really helps you fill in instantaneously if you do a good job of finding the right profile kid who fits your culture. And we talked about this earlier in the season, Ryan.
Hey, they've done that. They've done that very well so far.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, Kenny makes the observation all the time that in this day and age, they say you can't build culture, you can only build teams. And I think there's a lot to that. I mean, Texas paid a lot of money.
I think the team kind of dictates the culture.
Who you put on your team is and the profile. Your profile is everything. You don't think there's some Texas fans who are sort of questioning how much they gave a lot of money to that kicker to miss twice, right? So dude, um, we are going to have to start paying players, but it's not going to be crazy. In fact, thank goodness the rules are changing.
But again, in today's college football, you win, the people will come, and the money will come. The money will
Yes.
take care of itself.
Yeah.
If you're going out and winning and bringing,
right,
inspiring good feelings among people with with the checkbooks.
That's right. So, yeah, folks, you're here at the very end here. We're going to talk about tickets, but
Yeah.
let's move on.
Oh, yeah, we got ours, but moving on here to our postseason awards. We do this every year on Running with the Devils, presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We'll give out our awards to the players on both sides of the ball we feel are deserving. And for me, Offensive Player of the Year, I don't think there's any doubt.
No.
It's Cam Scatterbo, and just what he was able to do this year, putting the team on his back numerous times. Just working as hard as he did. You could tell he was giving maximum effort every time he set foot on the field. And oh man, just one of the most fun players to watch in ASU history, as far as I'm concerned. He's my Offensive Player of the Year.
So, and I'll set this up by saying I have no doubt you're right, but you have Offensive Player of the Year and you have MVP, and the definition of both is so close this year.
Yeah, you can make an argument for both. This is true.
And this is why I put Sam in Offensive Player of the Year, only because of the improvement, the numbers, the productivity, really. I mean, he came in here as a raw young man, and he needed a lot of work. He got the work. He was but the fact that he was so competitive, I think, is what they kept leaning on, playing on that competitive side of things for him, and is why he became as good as he is. And his ceiling is very high, don't you think, Ryan?
Oh yeah, I think he's only tapped into what he can be. I mean, especially when you look at his ability to extend plays, his pocket presence, how he looks down, how he keeps his eyes downfield. Once he kind of gets on the same page with his receivers and, kind of has, I think, they've done some work to improve the quality of receivers. Nothing against Guillory, Stovall, Jake Smith, and those guys. I think there's a reason why he kind of made Tyson his go-to guy. I'd like to see him spread the ball around a little bit more next year, not zero in on one guy quite so much. As far as I'm concerned, if he can do that, this offense will be a lot more dangerous, a lot more balanced, and he'll be the catalyst as to why.
Yeah, I just think, like any good coaching staff, you try to get the ball in the playmaker's hands, and while Tyson might not, everybody didn't know about Tyson really, especially coming off blowing out all three tendons in his knee, and recovering as well as he did, and being as athletic as he is. I think they just said we're going to make sure Tyson is most developed, and that we did move the ball around. There's definitely some other guys who got touches, but you're right. Having a second and a third gear, especially with what we have coming in for it's tight end coming in from Kentucky. I'm psyched for this kid.
Amari Anderson, yeah.
And then you also have and you're gonna have Medi staying.
Tyson had 31 more catches than the next closest wide receiver.
Oh, clearly, yeah. I mean, you can see his athleticism, the way he high points balls, and has he learned how he had a ball taken away from him at where was it, at K-State? Yeah, he had that ball stripped from him. Wasn't that one?
Well, yeah, he had one. After fumble against Kansas, and there was another one against K-State. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, he learned his lesson. Every ball was up
ball
here.
Security, yes.
Ball security. So I love how he matured. I love everything about his game, and no, he's not going. His value is wrapped up with Kenny and Sam.
Yeah, and then for our MVPs, I went with Sam Levitt just because of how anemic the quarterback position has been here the last 2 years. It helps that again, you mentioned the offensive line. That was a big reason why Levitt had the success that he did this year. But
Cam Scatterbo's
him in and developing him along with the pieces that you had here, and putting him in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
To me, and him going out there and going out on the field and executing the way he did, to me makes him the most valuable player to this offense.
And don't underestimate what Scadaboo did for Sam. In other words, when you have to commit a safety to Cam catching a ball, right, coming out of the backfield, that just opened things up immensely for Sam. So yeah, I think
the safety valve.
Yeah,
safety
yeah.
valve.
You had Sam benefited from Cat's game. That's all there is to it. His passing got better because of it. We had less coverage, and defenses had to respect Scadaboo in there. So that's a big part of. And I'm glad you have him on your list. I just thought that in terms of who was most valuable to the organization, and because he played, he's been a punter, he's been a quarterback, he's been special teams player. I had to give it to Cam.
Not as much this year, but yes.
Right. But that's but he deserves everything, all the accolades, and we're going to look forward to seeing him play in the Senior Bowl.
I go back to that Central Florida game.
Oh yeah.
Which was a bit of a shootout where Scat didn't play. They didn't have Scadaboo available for that game. Levitt kind of took over the reins as leader of that offense.
Oh yeah.
And really put together some strong drives and helped got them the W, got them to win that game. So to me that makes him a little bit more of a valuable player than Scadaboo. But again, you're right. They're a little bit interchangeable for what they brought to the table and what they did this season.
And helping each other. I mean, I can tell you that
two players of the year for that offense.
Cameron, in some ways, he's an old soul. He came and spoke to the Booster Club, and he answered just question after question was just sterling. And Sam, you could tell, was not as comfortable, especially about NIL. One of the questions that was asked of him, they asked Doug Franz asked Sam Levitt, if you got a big NIL deal, would you spread the money around your players? And he hemmed and hawed. He really didn't have a good answer. They asked the same question of Cam, and says, I'm already doing it, and absolutely. And I think that within a week or two of that was where Sam announced that the NIL money from his jersey sales would go. He was going to spread it around to his O-line. So he grew up during this season. Is my
and he helped him get that NIL deal with Arby's.
Yeah,
the lineman.
Yeah. So credit for Sam for having Scadaboo around to kind of show him how he's, and in large part Bourget, because Bourget went out and got NIL money for all kinds of people, very unselfishly. So yeah, I think he wised up. He grew up. We're very valuable, very fortunate to have him. All right, so your next one, Defensive Player of the Year. I swear to God, I did not look at yours, dude. I knew you had them. I know you had these categories.
We don't on this too much before we make our picks and predictions and whatnot for the season, but yeah, this was one of John. This was your guy from day one when he came in, when he committed from the transfer portal. You said he was going to transform this defense, and in large part, he certainly did. I mean, you look at the season that he had statistically. I think he was fifth on the team with total tackles, 65, had a couple sacks, an interception. Just did a lot of the little things well that didn't really show up on the stat sheet. Played downhill, plugged the holes in the running lanes. This team really struggled against the run the last couple of years. Yes. And bringing in a middle linebacker like this, who could, play along the line, play in a crowd, shoot the gaps, do a lot of things very, very well, was a big reason why this team won. And when he wasn't in there, they certainly missed him.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did you see Elliott? He's playing the field side, right? Run to the boundary and make the play, or opposite, or the same thing. Sometimes they would flop him, and they would run away from him, and he would go all the way to the, he'd be on the boundary, and he'd run all the way across to the field side to make the play. He's just really, really good at not letting things get around him either.
Yeah, sideline to sideline stuff. Yeah, just very strong.
Yeah. So, defensive MVP. I swear I did not see who you had. I just knew you had these categories. But there's no question.
Yeah.
We both
especially
see the same thing.
After this, what he did the second half of the Peach Bowl,
Yeah.
causing that fumble that led to the safety, and just some of the other plays that he made, throughout the course of the season, and they kind of used him as a bit of a rover a
That's
little
right.
bit. They
Right.
moved him around. His official's position was as a safety, but they
Right.
played him at the nickel
Oh yeah.
a lot, and then
Oh,
had Alford and Rouser on the
right.
back end as the safeties. And he did a tremendous job in the slot. I was very, very impressed. That's not always an easy thing for a safety to do. Try to come down to the line of scrimmage and cover one of the faster receivers on the opposition. But yeah, he did a tremendous job this year. And I mean, you look at his stats throughout the course of the season: 72 total tackles, 4 pass deflections, an interception, and 4 forced fumbles.
Yep.
I mean, the
Huge.
guy was just a ball hawk out there and did a tremendous job in his
Let,
final year at ASU.
let me ask you something. I'm not asking you to predict a round or anything, but does he fit in somebody's camp in somebody's NFL camp this year?
I think it'll depend on how he does at the Shrine Bowl and in the combine.
Yeah.
Right now, just because he doesn't have elite size,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
He's
mean,
not
but I
six.
like his
Not
versatility. He can play safety, he can play corner, he can
right.
play on special teams. There's a lot to like.
But the fact that he's the best hitter on the team, he's the biggest. He just brings a load for his size, man. And I mean, in the NFL, every deep, corner or they can all hit, and that's what this
Yeah,
kid
and
might.
yeah, and that's important. Certainly, you want a guy who can tackle, and yeah, he
Yeah.
did that. Certainly did that this year. I'd say maybe 5th round right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If he could, he probably raise his stock a little bit at the Shrine Bowl and then in the
Sure.
combine. I mean, yeah, I would take him higher. The fact that he was one of the best players on one of the best teams
Yeah. One of the best
this year
reasons.
certainly helps
One of
his
the best.
stock. So
Yeah. One of the best reasons we were winning. Yeah.
yeah, if he goes out there, he goes out and balls out like he did all season. No reason to again raise his stock a round or two.
Yeah. I mean,
Certainly.
you hate to see all-star games where hitting is, guys are out there hitting unabated, but because it's a little more of a friendly game. But and I worry, you go to combine does not measure hitting either.
Well,
So there's
and
a
you
lot of this
don't
stuff that.
even most of the scouts don't even go to those for the games. They go for the practices.
Yes, right. Yeah.
They tend to scout the practices more than they do the
Right.
games. So if you can flash in the practices,
Well, they want to see.
don't even matter how much you do at the game.
They want to see. You want to see his ability, how loose in the hips he is, right? Those kind
Yeah,
of
and
stuff.
how he competes too.
And
I
he
think
can.
is
Correct.
a good thing too. So yeah, when you go some of the best players in the country that are looking to get drafted, how well do you do? And I have every confidence Jamari Simmons is going to raise his stock between now and April.
I think his play, the profile that he fit here, helps us to bring in other players like at that mold.
Yeah,
People see that I want to play in that defense, or I want to get balls from Sam. But it wasn't just. It's just not one-sided. The fact that Sam had such a growth year, and a lot of receivers, tight ends, wideouts, etc., want to get balls from him. That's evident. But I think players like this is what people go. I want to play on a defense like that.
right.
So
Yeah. So
hats off to
moving on.
Schmer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Moving on, and then our special teams player of the year. Uh,
Yep.
not a great season for kicking. That was kind of a musical chairs. Hopefully that'll be fixed with this guy from Eastern Michigan that they added in the portal.
Jesus.
Punting. Kenyon Floyd. He went through some growing pains as a true freshman, but I definitely saw some good things from him. But my special teams player of the year is Martell Hughes,
Mm-hmm.
the freshman. He played safety and linebacker this year, but just definitely flashed on special teams. He had that block punt against Central Florida. Always seemed to be down on punt and kick coverage. One of the first guys down there making the tackle every time. So yeah, definitely a guy that flashed on tape on special teams, and somebody that I'm looking for more things out of going forward here on this team.
Yeah, and I went with Montana Warren. And I think he's
scored
only going to get.
he scored the touchdown on that block punt, by the way.
That's correct. And very athletic. Got a keen, just a nose for the ball. I he got picked on in the Peach Bowl, but because I thought we were, he was kind of put out there on an island against a really good receiver, and but yeah, I just like everything about Montana's game, and I'm really looking forward to him stepping up next year and taking Shamari's job after, you know.
That certainly could happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how that battle goes in
Yeah, it's going to be a real
training
battle.
camp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he'll be in that group of 8, 10.
Well, I think it'll be a lot more Rouser and Alford at the
Yep.
safety spot.
Mm-hmm.
Will Martin was expected to be that starting nickel corner, but he's since transferred to UCLA.
Right.
After he got hurt and missed the whole season.
Right.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Montana Warren. You liked him a lot last year as a true freshman before he got hurt.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's certainly a spot, for guys to step up there at that nickel corner.
It was cool because I'm fortunate to get to go to practice and see these guys flash in practice. And by the way, the observation that they always like to bring up is practice is harder than games. And I thought there was while you don't practice overtime a lot of time, and you don't get a lot of live tackling to the ground, these guys always caught my eye, both of these guys. All the players that we awarded tonight, all flashed. There was no, oh my God, how well he's performing in the game. No, these people, if they're performing at practice, you can tell they're going to have great games. That's my point. So
true.
So that's our special teams. Now,
yep. Moving on here to our biggest surprise, and we had a couple. Didn't really mean to do it for offense and defense, but for me, my biggest surprise was Jordan Tyson. We saw what he was capable of when he was at Colorado.
Yep.
But coming back from that bad knee injury that he had last year, weren't really sure what he was going to look like, if he was still going to be that explosive player, the playmaker that he flashed on film at Colorado, and he absolutely was. I mean, he really took that wide receiver one spot and made it his own. And yeah, he was, I'd say, top 10 receivers in all of college football.
Oh yeah,
this season, just from his play. I mean, you look at his numbers just jump off the page to you when you look at him. 75 catches, over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, and that's he basically missed most of the U of A game and all the Big 12 championship, all of the Peach Bowl.
Right.
That's in 11 games.
Yeah.
So
the fact that he started out a season, and you remember there was a I think it was like 3, maybe 4 games in a row where he would drop his first ball. Remember that?
Yeah.
And how he got over that.
We were kind of bagging on him a little bit on his consistency, especially because he'd have a bad drop, or later in the game he'd have a ball get knocked out of his hands for a fumble, which happened a couple of times. But then he'd come back and make some big plays that ended up winning the game. He did that against Kansas. He had some plays early against Kansas State, then had the fumble, but still,
the reason
just
I brought
tremendous target, tremendous player, and definitely flashed and showed that he's going to be a cornerstone in this program for the next couple of years.
The reason I brought it up is because I think that's something that Hines Ward really kind of honed in on. So if you want to improve your game going forward, Jordan, we're going to hang on the ball. You're not going to consistency. Exactly. So this, we really didn't get into coaches of the year and all that kind of stuff in the awards, but but I think Hines is definitely making his presence known on this team, and he wants to be. He and his wife love it here. They're very happy, and they're going to get paid. We've already got Kenny got his contract. The OC and the DC got there, but now the position coaches are going to get paid now.
Well, one he's done in recruiting, I think, has been
very huge.
I mean, the guys that they've got in the transfer portal, and also the incoming freshmen.
Right.
This was a big season for ASU as far as recruiting goes, and
Yep.
that's because of Hines Ward. Yeah, he's raised the the receiver. He raised the receivers' games this year
Mm-hmm.
by what he was able to teach them. That whole mantra, no block, no rock,
Yeah.
definitely helped out the running game,
Yep.
and he was, he was a big part of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
nice,
I,
very nice hire by Dilly and the
I,
rest of the offensive staff.
hats off to Dillingham for bringing these particular coaches in here, and the way we put this together and got everybody buying into culture and keeping these kids head in the game.
Right.
And there was 8 games. We went 6-2 in 8 games where there was less than 8 points that separated the two teams.
One score game. Right.
That's a big number, folks. You know. So my were safety.
Yeah, and then I also had
Yeah.
Rich Kongaika,
Yeah.
who when he came here, I mean his whole thing was he transferred from U of A,
Right.
and some of those guys coming over, you never know what to expect, but that guy really became a force on the D line
Yeah.
in especially um in the pass rush coming up the middle. He had
Yeah.
3 sacks this year. Was also a force in the run D.
Yep.
Just flashed. Seemed like, I mean, it was hard to miss with the hair coming out of the back of his helmet. And
Yeah.
yeah, he was fun to watch this year. He's got a motor on him. He was a big part of that D line, the success that they had.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to him in the off season just getting bigger, stronger, leaner. Because no one's knocking him off. I mean, even though Dallas, um, Longhorns were out, there were 60 pounds advantage per guy on the O line. We held our own with guys like
Oh yeah,
Kangaika in there. He was one of the reasons.
Look at, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. Look at what they did in turning them into a one-dimensional team. They were not able to run the ball
Yeah.
really at all. They had 50 yards, and I think 30 of those were from Quinn Ewers.
Right.
So,
Which was a broken
yeah.
play. Yeah. All right. So we've talked about Martell before, but Martell, just much like Simmons, we brought him up, used him as a linebacker oftentimes. Some of his best games were when he's playing in the nickel. But I had to. So he was my most pleasant surprise, and then Kyle Scott, the pure freshman. We don't just. This was not out of oh my God, we're out of players. This kid earned his spot, man. He graded
Yes, he
out. He graded out very, very highly week to week. So nothing but high ceiling for Kyle going forward as one of our starting O linemen.
And he's the one who pulled Scott into the end zone in overtime.
We got a call. We give you the
Did a
call.
tremendous job this year, especially because that starting guard spot was one of the open ones. I mean,
Correct.
by the time fall camp had kind of opened, we kind of figured who was going to be where on that O line, and that guard spot was kind of up for grabs. And I think there was one game where Cade Briggs started, and he didn't really play his
No,
best.
his footwork was horrible.
Yeah, and then they bring in
time.
Kyle Scott, and he, played a lot better, and just seemed to continue to get better as the season went on. And now he's, he's kind of cemented himself at that right guard spot, and yeah, I'm sold.
Well,
I really like his game.
Yeah, I like how
he gets after it. He can pull a little bit. He can road grade. He can do a lot of different things very, very well.
Well, that right side, as sketchy as it was in the beginning of the season, really with Ahinacor and Scott, I love that whole right side. How they got after people. I mean, they graded out week after week, and I think Ahinacor being a little more senior kind of helped push him along a little bit. They got to communicate as to who's picking up what. Lots and lots of chatter up front about what the personnel and where they're coming from. So, but I'm just happy for that I was able to give an award to Kyle Scott.
Yes.
This week.
Now we're kind of moving away from the players and going towards kind of our overall awards for the team and our game of the year. And to me, it was Utah, because this is a team that had been the bane of our existence in the Pac-12. they beat ASU in 2023, 55-3 in Salt Lake, and them coming into
Redemption.
Tempe on a short week. They played on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Whole nation watching. They're pretty much the only game on, and but Utah was coming in off a bye, and then Cam Rising playing, and everybody kind of thought, okay, here's where Utah makes their move. They're going to be, contenders like they always have been. And ASU kind of shut them down.
You
They
got
really put
after
them
it.
in their place. And
Yeah.
big part of that was Cam Rising didn't really look comfortable. He wasn't really ready to come back, so to speak. But ASU's defense kind of got him uncomfortable. They forced some turnovers. They did a lot of things very, very well. And then those exciting Cam Scatterboot touchdown runs
Yeah.
where it looked like there was the one where he looked like he was going down, kept his balance, and then cut it to the outside for a long touchdown. And then that one right at the end to kind of put the game out of reach. Oh, I don't know if I've heard that stadium so loud. It was
I know.
just
Just
exploded.
erupted. Just exploded. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that was kind of the game because Utah was ranked at the time
Yes.
where you said, hey, this team can play with anybody in this conference. And, they did have a bit of a hiccup the next week because Sam Levitt took that hit
Yeah.
in this game against Utah. They faltered to Cincinnati on the road. But after that, they went on a great run all the way to the college football playoff. And to me, a big reason why was this win over Utah.
I thought we had an outstanding game plan for Utah, starting with the defense. And the fact that we got to Cam really by the second play, got that at ankle, and now he had a bum left leg and a bum right ankle. He could not plant. None of his passes looked really good at all.
He did not look like himself at
No.
all.
And so, I mean, and they did really they had a freshman
The fact that they were that Utah stuck with him after all that, where he could barely move, couldn't plant, his throws had nothing on them. Yeah, it was.
That's not a typical Kyle Whittingham team. Whittingham's have seniors who start, juniors, sophomore, freshman, and usually if the senior goes down, then the junior play. They were going to play a freshman after that. So
Isaac Wilson, right?
That's right. And so he was the guy, and I think this is why Whittingham is not they're not the Utah they used to be in this new conference because the recruiting got out of whack as far as the numbers, and you can blame COVID, you can blame portal, you can blame all that stuff, but it's still Utah, and they get an awful lot of support in that valley up there. But I agree, that was a great game. For me, it was Kansas just because there were 6 lead changes, and we won it with under 2 minutes left. We come back and win, and really showed that we could this team just was not going to quit even after being down. But I love the 6 lead changes, and I love it was a minute 56 when we took over that last drive to win the game. And Sam really, at that point, to me, it was like, okay, Sam, that was the game I thought we really arrived. Was one of Sam's most heroic, classic, bring him back. We're going to go down and score inside of 2 minutes. So that was my game. But what a thrill being in this conference, man.
I know.
Everybody's got a running back.
There were a couple of games that you could point to and say, that's a game in the past ASU team would have lost.
Yeah.
You say that, that's a game that they wouldn't have even been close in, and they come back and win. So yeah, this season definitely reflected the change in culture, the change in philosophy, and not just that they played teams close, but that they answered scores with scores and stops, and then and were able to come away with victories.
Yep. So, moment of the year.
The fact that they went 8-0 at home.
That's right.
Was tremendous.
Yeah. Well.
Moment of the year. Man, that BYU ending. That was just insanity. I mean, I was at that game.
Yeah.
And when Sam threw that ball away and everybody thought it was over, I was like, wait a minute. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
They start rushing the field, and BYU wasn't moving. And oh my gosh, then they had to get everybody, not even get everybody back to their seats, just get everybody to the sideline so they could run one more play, and then for them to come up just a few yards short of the end zone there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Well, and I think from that point forward, we said we're not making
My blood
that
pressure just went, it was like a roll. That was a
it,
roller coaster
it
right
was,
there.
and it was. I just love the way that Kenny went out and defended himself to the refs without
Right.
getting a foul, and the fact that really we were not going to let that brand BYU beat us. I mean, folks, a lot of you were not around during the WAC days, but Frank Kush owned BYU, and everybody says, "Oh, this is going to be a great rivalry." Not if we keep winning like that, man. I mean,
Right.
but I'm thrilled that we actually have a good close team like this we can be right, because I think next year I'm expecting all of us to go up there and make a lot of noise too. Yeah. So my
Nice.
comeback was really the fourth quarter against Texas, and the fact that we didn't quit. We had a few breaks. We had missed field goal, a couple missed field goals, and on the other team. But our kids just balled out. 53 yards rushing. That's just and nobody's done that in decades to those guys, man. We made them a one-dimensional team, and as we pointed out in our podcast last week, we're going to try to get Ewers to throw some bad balls because he threw 11 picks this year, folks, and he threw 12, his 12th one this against us. So great comeback. That's one of the. I think I was using the term. Maybe I texted you. This is going to be an instant classic. I just don't want to be on the wrong end of be on the losing end of instant classics anymore. you know.
Yeah, and hopefully with with a couple of upgrades, I think at a few spots, including a kicker and a couple other things, I think I don't think we will be. So yeah, nothing but positive vibes for the future. And those are our postseason awards presented by Sleep in Heavenly Peace. But now we got to take a second. Uh, Now we got to take a second to talk about the 2025 season. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, just because it is still so much to go on that has to happen between now and then. But I think we're both very bullish on this team going forward, and a big reason why is you got most of the cornerstones of your team: Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, that offensive line coming back. Just about everybody off the defense is coming back.
Yep, tight end.
Yeah, Shimon Mateer coming back, and then some of the pieces that they've had in the transfer portal. You mentioned Kamari Anderson, the tight end from Kentucky.
Stud.
He looks like he could be a very good add to this program. And then some of the wide receivers that they've added look like they can come in and play right away. And I want to see a full off season for Malik McClain.
and
well,
Ray Leak Brown.
Yes.
We saw him 2 plays this year, and the hammy was not right. When he's healthy, folks, we will have a thunder and lightning running game because this kid,
Kanye Udo from Army.
Yeah, they call him Yee, folks. So we're going to hear a lot of Yee next year. He's a bruiser. See, he averaged 6 point. He didn't play a lot, but when he did carry, he averaged 6.1 yards a carry. So so you have a potential of a big back, a big bruiser back, and an instant speed back in Brown. I'm not talking about the Brown who played the last few games. I'm talking about Ray Leak Brown, who we didn't get to see.
We're gonna have to make distinctions because there's three Browns who play running back.
Yeah, Brown, and Brown.
On this team,
like a law firm.
What can Brown do for you? And Raleek, Kyson, they're two different players.
Yes.
So but they'll both be a part of this backfield next year. So replacing Cam Scadaboo is certainly not going to be easy, but trying to duplicate his production, I think, is certainly possible with what this team has, and they'll have they'll have a similar philosophy. I think hopefully a little bit more balance. I'd like to see a little bit more out of the passing game next year.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes, and then the defense. Just about everybody except Shamari Simmons and a couple others are coming back, so should be very strong as well. So that'll do it for us. We'll hopefully see you in the spring. We say goodnight. Forks up. Go Devils. See you next season.
Get your season's tickets, maybe.